be live for the first time in Clubhouse. We're also live on Facebook. Reed, make sure you turn down your the volume on your iPhone over there so you don't get that feedback. That would be great.
Okay, how's that?
That is fantastic. I love it. So welcome everybody. We are live on Facebook and Clubhouse today. And if you guys are not familiar with Clubhouse, make sure you download the app. It's for iPhone users, and go and follow myself, Jen Maleka, and Reed Davis, so you guys can get all the cool tips and information that we're sharing over on Clubhouse today. And Clubhouse listeners, we are excited to be here with you, sharing with you our Health Coach Tip Tuesday show that we normally run over on Facebook. So we're doing a little bit of both today, and would love for you to show us some love and follow us in both places, because Reed and FDN and myself are all about delivering a ton of value and helping health coaches and functional health practitioners out there in the space, elevate yourselves, help your clients on a deeper level, and help you to excel in creating a really successful business doing exactly what it is that you love doing the most. So, Reed, we are here today to talk with our Facebook Live viewers and our Clubhouse listeners all about how health coaches can legally and ethically use lab data. And this is part of our weekly Health Coach Tip Tuesday series for those that are on Clubhouse with us, where we are sharing weekly information. So again, you guys can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on Clubhouse. We are delivering a ton of value in both of these spaces. And if you're here with us on Facebook and you want to, instantly get more information about how health coaches can legally and ethically use lab testing as part of the work that you do in Facebook, go ahead and drop the word data below our video today, and you're going to get a freebie, which is our Tools of the Wellness Space versus Illness Space guide, and you're going to get an option for a free health coach strategy session. And Clubhouse listeners, don't worry, we did not forget about you. If you go to the link in either my profile or Reed's profile, first of all, give us a follow over there. Make sure you hit the little bell in our profile once you follow us in order to get notified about when we do more Clubhouse talks like this to help you guys out. But you'll see in our bios, you can actually see the link to get the freebie as well. And that link for you guys over there on Clubhouse is fdn.today/Clubhouse. So let's dive into this conversation that we have today, Reed, this topic about how health coaches can legally and ethically use functional lab data, because this is coming up a lot in the health coaching and functional health industry space here. And, this is something that FDN really specializes in. It's kind of unique to what it is that we do. But let's first talk about, Reed, what is the difference between a health coach and a licensed practitioner, specifically as it relates to, how health coaches can kind of use lab testing in their practice, and how that might be different than a licensed health practitioner?
Yeah, sure. Well, I sometimes wonder why people get so fussy about it, because imagine a health coach using information to guide its recommendations or suggestions to a client. Imagine that, using information, heaven forbid. And for us, a lot of that information comes from lab reports. We basically data mine.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just looking for healing opportunities. So if you wanted to put it into one sentence, physicians diagnose and treat specific diseases. And health coaches are very happy to give them a complete monopoly on diagnosing and treating specific diseases. And certainly they're trained very well to do that. They're great at it. And we give them that province, or they own that province, and they're licensed, to do that. We could sidetrack a bit and say, well, why are they licensed? Because they can do a lot of harm. They use knives, scalpels and drugs that are very powerful and can cause a lot of harm. So these things are very dangerous, and you want to avoid them at all costs, unless you really need them. When you need them, you need them. But that's why you need a license to practice medicine, because you could really hurt someone. Now, in health coaching, it's completely different. We don't hurt anyone. The potential, unless they're just avoiding medical treatment, is nil. So what we do instead is we use different lab work and we look at it differently. So we're looking for healing opportunities versus treatment options. We don't, again, we're not going to treat one thing per se. We're going to look for what's out of balance. Give you an example, omega-3 to omega-6. Those are two things that are really critical. Your essential fatty acids, things have to be in balance. Is there a diagnosis? Is there a medical diagnosis if those are out of balance? No, there is not. So it's a healing opportunity. Hey, we need to get this in balance. Your estrogen and progesterone might be involved in medical diagnosis, but again, that's not our backyard. We just want to know, are they in balance? You don't want estrogen dominance. Is that a diagnosis? That's not a diagnosis. It's a healing opportunity. We can go on and on. Things like in your gut, the flora, good and bad flora. Everyone, seventh graders know about it now. Are they diagnosing and treating? No. And neither are health coaches. So we just use different labs and we look at them differently. It's healing opportunities versus diagnosis and treatment of specifics.
That was such a great explanation, Reed. And I, as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and health coach myself, I really love this distinction between, what it is that we do and what it is that licensed practitioners do. It really creates this clarity around, how we can help people specifically with the utilization, of lab testing. So I just want to take a moment here to pause for any of the people that just joined on, new with us, whether you're on Facebook or on Clubhouse right now. So welcome everybody that's over on Facebook with us. I see a fan here, and then we've got quite a few listeners over on Clubhouse too. So we are streaming to both places at the same time right now, which is awesome to be doing this. Reed Davis is the founder of Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, which is a lab training and certification program for health coaches and health professionals out there. And we are talking about how health coaches can legally and ethically use functional lab data. So if this is a topic that you guys are really interested in, if you're on Facebook, please go ahead and drop the word data below the video, and we're instantly going to send you our tools of the trade for the wellness space versus illness space guide, and you'll get an opportunity to schedule a free health coach strategy session with one of our course advisors to talk more about how you can be utilizing lab testing in your practice. And for those of you that are over on Clubhouse with us, if you guys go to fdn.today/clubhouse, you can also get this information that we have available for you and an opportunities to schedule a free health coach strategy session with our team. So, and this show is part of our weekly Health Coach Tip Tuesday series that we've been doing over on Facebook for a very long time, couple of years now at this point in time, and we are also now offering it on Clubhouse. So if you guys are on Clubhouse with us currently, or if you're watching this on Facebook and you're also somebody that's on Clubhouse and finding that as an interest, make sure you go and follow both Reed and myself, the moderators. I'm Jen Maleka. You've got Reed Davis here, and follow us on Clubhouse. Make sure you hit the little bell up at the top in order to get notified when we do future, live talks like this. So awesome, you guys. Well, let's dive a little bit deeper, Reed, and let's talk even more about how health coaches actually look at labs differently. Because as you were kind of mentioning, one of the specific things that health coaches do differently than licensed practitioners is that we don't diagnose or treat anything, specifically. We're looking for those healing opportunities. So can you talk a little bit more about how health coaches, look at labs differently, how we're utilizing that information in our practices to help our clients?
Well, the reason why we do it is because it gives us a lot of confidence in our recommendations. And we run a very comprehensive program. We talked about this last week. So we don't run just one lab. And then, of course, we get a lot of compliance. So the reason why we run labs is many-fold. And mostly it's looking at those healing opportunities or things we can change in a person's lifestyle. Again, this isn't treating specific stuff, but it has an effect that might appear that way. Let me give you an example. I had years ago, a woman was coming in our office when we were doing brick and mortar. I've been doing just working from home for over 10 years, 12 years. But, the distance coaching thing, I think we practically invented that. We should do a show on it. And, but this lady was coming in, and then she asked me, "Do you work with kids?" I said, "Yeah, I guess so. They're just like little people. We could probably help them. What's the problem?" And I was raising 4 kids, by the way. So she said, "Well, they're telling him at school that he needs to be on drugs, and I don't want to put him on drugs. What's going on? He's kind of misbehaving. He's poking. He's not really paying attention. He's disrupting the class and things like that. And the teachers just want him drugged." And so I said, "Well, I'm not sure, but let's see if there's something, causing that kind of behavior beyond the fact that he's a boy. They're all a pain in the neck anyway, right?" So at least I know, and it was a good thing when I was a kid. The more mischievous, the cooler you were. So anyway, so we just ran a couple tests and got the guy off of some stuff that were irritating his nervous system. Now, he just happened to be one of those sensitive kids that, other kids might eat that same crap and they're not so bad. But it was really irritating his nervous system. Got that stuff out of it. Look, in 2 weeks, after getting him on a new diet and avoiding some other things in the household, after 2 weeks, the principal of the school called me and said, "What'd you put Billy on?" As if I drugged him or, gave him some magic pill. We didn't do anything. So that's how health coaches look at lab work. It's what's dysfunctional, what's out of balance, or what's irritating some area of the body, one form or another. I got many, many stories like that. A lady who was having migraines, couldn't work. She was basically in a dark room with a pillow over her head 5 days a week. And we did some tests on her. As a matter of fact, I comped her every bit of my time. I just felt so bad for her. And within a very short period of time, she was only having quote unquote normal headaches. Now, headaches aren't normal. We know that. And even those we had to keep working with her on. But it's that kind of a thing. We're looking for healing opportunities. We're looking for what's wrong, what's really wrong. And that's all people want to know is I've been to 10 doctors. No one's been able to tell me. Most of them tell me I'm normal. My blood work looks normal. It must be all in my head. Here's your chill pill. And I don't want to take chill pills. I want to know what's really wrong. And so we've, 20 plus years been looking for what's really wrong. That's what health coaches do. We look at blood and saliva and urine and stool for healing opportunities, just for clues about what's really going on upstream. And I don't want to go on too much, Jen, but even what's going on upstream, that's an easy concept. A lot of functional medicine practitioners, well, we'll look at what's going on upstream. But they'll just kind of pick one branch, one tributary. They'll say, well, it sounds like thyroid. Let's look upstream for a thyroid issue. Oh, yeah, I found it. Here's your issue. And what we do is take an even broader view than that, because we notice that there's all of these different contributors to metabolic chaos is what we call it, and they're having an interaction and effect upon each other, and that's what makes them really hard to sort out. So when you have all of these different contributors to metabolic chaos and they're bouncing off each other, well, guess what? There's no test for some of that. You may never know the root cause. But again, as health coaches, we can have an effect upon everything upstream, every cell, every tissue, every organ, every system. And when you heard Jen correctly say, we don't treat anything specifically, what she meant to go, the next thing is we treat everything non-specifically. So every cell, tissue, organ, and system. Every cell, tissue, organ, and system, the entire organism is affected by the correct diet, by correct rest and sleep, by correct exercise, by removing the stressors, like with the migraines and the ADD, ADHD, and all these other problems we've seen, skin conditions and asthma and brain fog and tiredness, fatigue, and on and on and on, gut problems. Oh my God. When you start removing the stressors, you're not treating anything specifically. You're not being a doctor. Look, we love our doctors, but we don't go peeing in their backyard. If they got a serious medical condition, go see a doctor. If your downward spiral is going to kill you, you don't call your health coach.
That's so true. And I think, a lot of the, one of the most common recommendations that I make for people is, the simple fact of like going to bed by 10 p.m., which is something that we, can see like from the lab testing, how it's impacting their body. And like, that's not a diagnosis or a treatment of anything. It's just simply encouraging somebody to go to bed in accordance to their circadian rhythm. It's a lifestyle change that we're making as health coaches. And I just, love everything that you're saying here, Reed. And I want to kind of tune into a little bit more of this concept of metabolic chaos and how the lab tests help us, see this stuff. And before we dive into that topic, I want to say hello to some of our new people that have joined on with us. I see Magdalena over here from Facebook that is joining us from Romania, which is awesome. And we've got quite a few people over here on Clubhouse as well. So we're streaming in both areas right now. And for anybody new that's jumping on with us, Reed, the Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Founder, and I are talking about how health coaches can legally and ethically use functional lab data. And for those of you who are really interested in this topic and want to get more information about this, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and drop the word data, D-A-T-A, like lab data, below the video, and we're instantly going to send you our Tools of the Wellness Space versus Illness Space guide, along with an opportunity to schedule a free health coach strategy session with one of our team members. And if you are on Clubhouse, we didn't forget about you either. You can go do this as well. If you go to my profile or Reed's profile, make sure to follow us, turn on the bell so you get notified when we do more Health Coach Tip Tuesdays like this. But you can also see a link in there, fdn.today/clubhouse. So if you're on Clubhouse, you guys can go to that link and we will instantly send you the opportunity to grab this information to our Tools of the Wellness Space versus Illness Space and that free health coach strategy session there. So Reed, let's just talk a little bit more about this concept of metabolic chaos and how this relates to the coaches using functional lab testing, because something that's really unique as FDN practitioners is that you actually teach us to run a series of lab tests when we work with somebody, like tests that are going to look at the hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy, and nervous system all at the same time, so we can see, the big picture, collect all of the clues as to what's going on with a person, like where are these like vital voids or these imbalances and dysfunctions within the systems happening. And I heard you tell a story one time, or like create like a metaphor for this that really hit it home for me personally. And, if we relate like our clients' health issues to a crime scene, we are the health detectives, right? And one time you said, if you're just running a thyroid test or if you're just running a stool sample test, that's like a detective going into a house of a crime scene and looking in the basement and the attic, but not looking in the living room for all of the clues. Like we have to be looking at the whole picture of what's going on with somebody. And I think this also relates to, the fact that like anybody can run a lab test, but not everybody knows what to do with it. And one of the things that functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners that you train, like myself, one of the things that we really emphasize is we care more about connecting the dots, like looking for those correlations. And I think that the thyroid example is a really great example of this concept that we're talking about here that I'd love for you to elaborate a little bit more on. Is like, when somebody receives that thyroid diagnosis, when they're getting like, a thyroid lab test done, and then, they're saying, somebody's telling them, oh, you've got Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism, there's still that big question of like, well, why or how did that happen, right? And so tell us a little bit more about how health coaches are using lab testing to look and for these clues and connect these dots to the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's a really good analogy, I think. FDNs are like health detectives, and we look for as many clues as possible. And so we have a system, and it's very systematized. That's kind of our claim to fame, is it isn't just, gosh, what should I look for? And a lot of practitioners, they're trained to listen to the symptoms and run a test based on those symptoms, and then they find, oh yeah, this is out of whack here, and they treat that one thing. But what we found is they're leaving everything else off the table. So they're missing maybe even the real healing opportunities, dealing with one thing. And that keeps people stuck in that cycle of trial and error. So what I realized after running thousands of labs on thousands of people is that just about everyone with a chronic stress-related condition has hormone imbalance. They have immune system imbalances. They have digestive issues. They have, digestion and assimilation. They could be eating great food. It's just not getting absorbed. And they have detoxification problems. They have problems with oxidative stress. The environment is rough. I started in the environmental law field and how bad the planet is, and it was killing birds and bees. And I thought, what about us? So you got the hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification. Oxidative stress is huge. Energy production problems and autonomic balance, where this world is very conducive to just being in sympathetic mode all the time. So, your hormones are out of whack, your immune system is suppressed. People get sick and they get out of sorts. So I call that metabolic chaos. Why? Because I don't want to diagnose one thing and go in and select one thing, because that will keep people stuck. Because once you get that one thing tuned up a little bit, remember, it's being affected by 5 other stressors or dysfunctions. So you can't maintain the balance there. It just goes right back out of balance. So if you want permanent solution, you got to get on a pathway. And if I sell one thing, it's the pathway. It's like, hey, everyone's on the stairway to health. I don't know anyone at the top of the stairs. I've been working on this myself for all these years. I read my first health book 50 years ago almost. So, we're all on the path. We just want to help each other. We've learned to use the data from lab work to guide us along the way. And to tell us what needs supporting, what needs stimulation, what needs substitution for what's not in our diet or something like that. And so metabolic chaos is just a phrase that was coined out of a conversation. What the hell's really going on? It's chaos. Metabolic chaos. Hey, got a nice juicy phrase to coin there, and it became our one concern. Doctors diagnose. I don't know how many diagnoses are in the CPT book, but it's probably 3,000. You think that's not chaos? That's just we have one. We have one concern, not all those things.
Yeah.
And our system works better than that one.
Right, because it's not leaving anything on the table. It's looking at everything all together. We're not leaving any clues left behind. It's that, I always like to think of it as like that, what came, the old adage, what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of saying. It's like, well,
it was the chicken.
Yeah, right. It's like, was it the thyroid issue, or was it leaky gut or liver congestion or HPA axis dysfunction? We've got to look at all of these, pieces of the puzzle together. So I'm sure go ahead, Reed.
I was going to say, and at the same time, again, this idea of being on a path, and come and join us. And, there's people with less stairs to go than you, and you've gone up a lot of stairs already on your journey. And there's a lot of people who have a lot more steps to go, and maybe they're even just getting started going up the stairway. We help people along. We support each other in our journeys together. And again, I don't know anyone at the top of the stairs. Another great analogy real quick, Jen, it's like sailing. There's no power boating to health. We get some clients are like, just tell me what to do, man. I'm going to be there in three weeks. No, 3 months maybe, but there's going to be some course correction along the way. Mm-hmm. And that's because we're all such unique individuals. Metabolic chaos also helps explain why the exact same stressors on two different people, the environment and all the things you're going through, could result in completely different set of symptoms. And by vice versa, two people with the exact same symptoms, they got the same cluster of symptoms, totally different influences upstream. And so that's, again, why metabolic, it takes some coaching. It's not here, here's your pills, come back in 3 months. It's here's some principles that you have to adopt.
Right.
And let's work together for those 3 months, not I'll see you in 3 months.
And it's also a big reason why we run this series of lab tests, to be able to see like what are those differentiating factors for that person that's happening upstream or downstream from the situation. So I want to take a moment here just to welcome anybody new that's jumped on with us. We're kind of start to wrap up our conversation here. I've got one more question for Reed that we'll dive into, but if you're over on Facebook, you're loving this conversation, you want more information about this, please go ahead and drop the word data below the video. We're instantly going to send you our Tools of the Wellness Space versus Illness Space article or guide. And then also you'll get an opportunity to schedule a free health coach strategy session with one of our team members, as we're talking here today about how health coaches can legally and ethically use lab testing in their practice. And if you're over on Clubhouse with us and our profiles, first of all, follow us, make sure you hit the bell and our profile so that you can get notified when we jump on and do more Health Coach Tip Tuesdays or other shows on Clubhouse. And secondly, if you look in both my profile and Reed's profile, there is a link in there where you guys can grab this information that we're giving away too. So if you go to fdn.today/clubhouse, you can also get this Tools of the Wellness Space versus Illness Space guide and an opportunity to schedule a free health coach strategy session with one of our team members. So as we're talking about this, Reed, we've clearly covered the difference between a health coach and a licensed practitioner when it comes to running lab testing. We've talked about how health coaches look at labs differently, like that we don't diagnose or treat anything. We treat everything non-specifically based on the approach of using that objective lab data to guide recommendations for diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation that has a positive effect on every cell, tissue, organ, and system in the body, and how health coaches are really looking for healing opportunities, that we care more about connecting the dots, and that the labs are basically giving us clues to the crime scene that's going on in somebody's health situation. So now the question becomes, well, how can health coaches get lab work done for their clients? Because these days, you're seeing lab work pop up everywhere. Like you can go to labstogo.com, you can order your own blood test. We're seeing like Everlywell, which has like finger stick tests. And first of all, there's a difference in the quality and the accuracy of lab testing. They are not all created equal. So that's one of the things that FDN, Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, values in the training that they provide us is, looking at teaching us about the most cutting edge lab tests that are, the most effective and most accurate. And then, so the question is, how do we get how are health coaches able to access those for their clients? I mean, we're using tests like Precision Analytica's Dutch test or Access Lab saliva test. We're using Diagnostic Solutions GI map test. We're using Vibrant Wellness Zoomers and Cyrex testing and all these things. So how can health coaches legally and ethically do this with their clients as part of the FDN training program? Because this is what sets us apart from the rest too. So this is all about our medical director program, Reed. So tell them a little bit about how you develop the medical director program and how it serves not only the health coach, but the client at the same time.
Well, direct-to-consumer labs are ubiquitous now. There's at least 40 companies doing it, including the largest two labs, Quest and LabCorp. They both have direct-to-consumer programs. Why? Because the consumer, the public, is entitled to this data. And as health coaches, we just help them get it. We're just expediting. It's part of our service is to get them direct to consumer. It just so happens, though, that I created one of the very, very first. Even in the first year that I was doing this, there was only 2, maybe 3, another. All of a sudden, they're springing up everywhere. Why? Because it's a good thing to have data, to actually use information. I mean, again, oh my God, why is this controversial at all? You were using data to, to help people. My goodness, we're not diagnosing and treating. That would be wrong. But just to use data to guide and support, that's a beautiful thing. And to answer your question, I was working in a clinic for 10 years under doctors. So I got to do it under the doctors, and they just let me. They trusted me. They knew I wouldn't break any rules. And so then when I started teaching, I'm kind of the reluctant teacher, like I was happy running a clinic and being very successful with a huge practice. But everyone kept saying, you got to teach others. You got to duplicate this. This is amazing. Especially the labs. They were telling me at the time, you run 5 times as many labs as anyone. And so how do you do it? Whatever you're doing, go teach. So I put my first little class together, and then I realized that they weren't physicians, that, they don't work under the doctors I work under. I've got to create a system for that. And I started with 1 lab and 1 doctor. He's still a great friend and mentor of mine today, who stuck his neck out there a little bit so that just for my few students, we could do it under, and now it's blown up. It's become, again, ubiquitous. Everyone's doing it. And so the public deserves, they can get this information. The health coaches just expedite. It's just a part of our service. We're not ordering it like a doctor does, and we're not taking the information to diagnose or treat anything specifically. So it's completely, I think it's unethical not to do it. It would be unethical for me to just have a lady say, I've got this and this and this going on, and I sell her a bunch of supplements. That's unethical.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to share, when I became a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, one of the things that I still to this day, after years of practicing, find the most valuable is the medical director program for a couple of reasons. One is that as FDN has evolved and as you've developed the community and the training program, FDN has established lab partnerships across the world. And so that helps me to facilitate my work that I do with people in other areas. Like I have clients in Australia that I'm able to access lab testing for, and clients in the UK and in Canada. So I can have this global, international impact, which is amazing. And we actually see a lot of, even licensed practitioners coming through the training program, one, to learn the methodology, because as we was saying before, that the methodology, the way that we approach working with clients is so unique in this system that we're talking about, but 2, so that they can expand their reach and have a global impact too. And then, secondly, Reed, as a new trainee, when I went through the program in 2012, I was lacking confidence in working with people because I didn't really have any clients yet necessarily. But one of the benefits of going through the medical director program when we order lab tests through there is that you get a consult with one of the advisors for every lab test that you order through there. And that gave me confidence initially to be able to go out there and start working with clients, because I knew that as I was utilizing this great system that you had set up, that I had support, that I was going to get to meet with an advisor who had a ton of experience under their belt, and that they were going to give me the guidance that I needed in order to help people. And even now, after being a practitioner, for almost a decade at this point in time, I still use that clinical advisor session every single time with a lab test that comes through, because I just find that there's so many pearls of wisdom to be gained when we're talking with those advisors. The lab tests are constantly changing their reference ranges, or the industry, things are always evolving. You've been adding new stuff to the course, and I know that the advisors are on top of those things, and they're disseminating that information to us. And even if I only need to use 10 minutes out of that 30 minutes, that's 100% worth my time, because it helps me help that client on a deeper level. So I just wanted to say, I really appreciate how you've developed this program for us, and what a tool it has been in my own practice to help people on a deeper level, not just because of the accessing the lab testing and the methodology, but then you've created this amazing support system that's in place, which really helps you have that confidence to go out there and get started. So this has been such an amazing conversation today. We're going to start to wrap it up here, you guys. We like to keep these Health Coach Tip Tuesdays nice and to the point and short and full of valuable information for you guys, but we are always here every week. And again, as we wrap up here, if you're on Facebook with us, if you're loving this topic, you want more information, please go ahead and drop the word data below the video. We're going to instantly send you more information about this, specifically give you our tools of the wellness space versus illness space article and guide. You'll also get an opportunity to schedule a free health coach strategy session with one of our team members instantly on there. You'll get a message that'll give you that information. And if you're over on Clubhouse with us right now, make sure that you follow us for one on Clubhouse. Go to my profile, go to Reed's profile, follow us, hit the little bell at the top. That way you'll get notified anytime we jump on and provide, more great shows like this one. And also on Clubhouse, if you would like to get some of this free information that we're giving away today, in our profiles, you will see Reed and I both have a link that says fdn.today/clubhouse. Go to that link and you're also going to get access to the tools of the wellness space versus illness space article guide that we have, and an opportunity to schedule a free health coach strategy session with one of our team members. So Reed,
hey, I want to say hi to the folks on Clubhouse. We got good people. Hi, Dr. Rita Marie. How are you? Kate Marie and everybody. It's good to see you here. We'll be doing more of this. Love this new platform. No censorship. Say what you want. Freedom of speech.
Yeah, so all of our Facebook users, definitely go over and follow us on Clubhouse as well too, because we are going to be doing a bunch more stuff over there. And Clubhouse is right now, it's available for anybody with an iPhone. So Android users, that's going to be coming out for you guys soon. But follow Reed and I over on Clubhouse so that you can tap into the things that we're doing over there as well too. So awesome, Reed. Any last words that you want to leave with our audience today?
So many, of course. Just the two prerequisites to be a health coach. One, I think you really got to be a do-gooder, someone who wants to help other people. And that's one of the most common threads among our community. We just want to help folks. That's the mission. And number two is be willing to attempt to walk the talk. Now, that's scary words to some people. Ooh, you mean I have to behave myself too? Well, it's better if you do, because then you'll get more followers the more you're actually, doing the work. So, and what's worth more than your health? Nothing. So that's all you got to be, is someone who wants to help others and willing to do a little work on yourself. And because, I think that's how we all hang out and do good work together.
Yes.
So that's
Agreed. All right, you guys, we'll definitely be back next Tuesday, 12 p.m. Pacific time. That is 2 p.m. Central time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you are somewhere else in the world, you'll have to calculate that time difference yourself. But always great to have Reed on. I'll be on next week doing more tips around business, specifically for health coaches and health practitioners. So hope to see you guys there. And thanks for being with us today.
Bye.